On December 10, 2024, Mikayla Davis wrote some nasty things on Facebook. She complained about dating bigger people and said she wouldn't deal with any extra weight anymore. Then she posted again, saying anyone who wanted to date her had to weigh less than her 135 pounds. She even told people to bring a scale if they messaged her. 6 weeks later, police in Jackson, Mississippi got a call about shots fired on Woodway Drive. They found a woman's body with 4 bullet wounds. The victim was Kenasia Bowie, Mikayla's girlfriend. So what turned mean social media posts into murder? This case shows us how online bullying can spiral into something much worse than just hurt feelings. Kenasia wasn't just another news story. She was a young woman living in Jackson, Mississippi with hopes and dreams like anyone else. People who knew her said she had a bright smile and always helped others. One friend remembered how Kenasia would give you her last dollar if you needed it. Jackson is a city with a rich history but also real challenges. It's the kind of place where tight communities exist alongside economic struggles. Kenasia was just trying to make it like everyone else, working, hanging out with friends, dating, and figuring out life. She stayed active on social media, sharing bits of her daily life and connecting with people. That's how she met Mikayla Davis. Nobody could have predicted where that connection would lead. What made Kenasia a victim wasn't anything risky she did. It was simply being in a relationship with someone whose insecurities turned dangerous. As one friend told reporters after her death, she was just living her life. Nobody deserves what happened to her. The area where Kenasia died is just a regular neighborhood. When neighbors heard gunshots that January night, they didn't think much of it at first. That's sadly normal in places where violence isn't an everyday thing. What makes this story so sad is that it could have been prevented. Kenasia's death shows what happens when we don't step in when someone's dangerous behavior starts showing up online. Kenasia and Mikayla first got together through mutual friends at an LGBTQ event in Jackson in early 2024. At first, things seemed good. Early photos show them smiling and hugging, looking like any happy couple. But problems started almost right away, even if they weren't obvious at first. A friend who knew them said, they seemed good together at first, but Mikayla always had these comments about people's looks, especially weight. She'd say things under her breath when bigger people walked by. Kenasia would look uncomfortable but never called her out on it. Their relationship moved fast. Within 2 months, they were spending most nights together at each other's places. By summer 2024, they were basically living together at Mikayla's apartment. Moving so quickly didn't give Kenasia much time to see the red flags that others were starting to notice. Text messages from Kenasia's phone later showed a disturbing pattern. Mikayla would constantly comment on what Kenasia ate, send her photos of thin women, and keep track of her workouts. One message from July said, "You skipped gym again? Don't come crying when none of your clothes fit." Friends noticed that Mikayla's weight obsession got worse whenever she felt insecure about their relationship. If Kenasia spent time with other friends or family, Mikayla would respond with nasty comments about Kenasia's body or eating habits. It was like she used weight as a weapon, another friend explained. Whenever she felt like she was losing control of Kenasia, she'd start in with the body comments. It was her way of keeping Kenasia off balance. By fall 2024, Kenasia had gained about 15 pounds. This probably happened for several reasons: a new medication, stress from the relationship, and maybe emotional eating because of Mikayla's constant criticism. This weight gain became Mikayla's main focus. A telling incident happened at a Halloween party. When Kenasia showed up in a costume, Mikayla said it was too revealing for her size. People heard them arguing, with Mikayla telling Kenasia she was embarrassing herself and should cover up until she lost weight. Kenasia left the party crying. What makes this case especially disturbing is how Mikayla's private put-downs eventually became public. By December, she started making posts on social media that were clearly about Kenasia's weight, even though she never tagged her directly. Anyone who knew them could tell who she was talking about. Mikayla also became obsessed with her own appearance. She posted constant gym selfies, weight updates, and comparison photos. Her social media turned into a showcase for what she saw as her physical superiority. The December 10th posts about not dating anyone heavier than herself weren't sudden. They were the public version of months of private obsession with weight and control. Phone records show that in the weeks before the murder, Kenasia had started looking for her own apartment again. She texted a friend saying, "I can't take the comments anymore. Nothing I do is ever good enough." This message, sent just 10 days before her death, suggests Kenasia was planning to leave. That decision may have pushed Mikayla's controlling behavior over the edge. What's so sad about this relationship is how predictable it looks now. The isolation, the criticism, the public humiliation, and the escalation, it all followed patterns that domestic violence experts know well. But like many abusive relationships, it looked normal from the outside, hiding its dangerous reality. By December 2024, Mikayla's social media had changed from normal personal posts to a public battleground against body fat, especially her partner's. The December 10th posts marked a major escalation from private criticism to public humiliation. First, Mikayla acted like dating Kenasia was some kind of favor she was doing. Second, she complained about behaviors she thought thinner women should have. Finally, she declared she had the right to accept or reject Kenasia's body. Her follow-up post hours later went even further. She said anyone wanting to date her couldn't weigh more than her 135 pounds, and told people to bring a scale if they wanted to message her. Here, she made specific rules not just for Kenasia but for anyone who might want to date her in the future. She turned weight from a personal health matter into a dating requirement. Most disturbing was her specific weight limit, showing she was actively comparing her body to Kenasia's. During this same time, Kenasia's online activity told a different story. She posted less frequently and stopped sharing photos of herself after November. Friends noticed she became less responsive to messages and invitations, classic signs of isolation that often happen in abusive relationships. One friend did try to help after seeing Mikayla's December posts. She privately messaged Kenasia asking, "Are you okay? Mikayla's posts seem aimed at you and they're not okay." Kenasia responded, "It's fine, she's just stressed about work." This shows how people in toxic relationships often normalize the abuse. As December turned into January, the online hostility started showing up in real life. Security cameras at a local restaurant on January 7th caught Mikayla and Kenasia in what looked like an intense argument. Witnesses said Mikayla loudly criticized Kenasia's food order, asking, "You really need that many calories?" before walking out and leaving Kenasia alone at the table. This pattern of escalation from private criticism to public shaming to real-world confrontation shows how dangerous online bullying can become when it's rooted in control and abuse. What started as mean comments became a public campaign of humiliation, setting the stage for the tragedy that would follow just weeks later. On January 15th, a coworker saw something strange. Mikayla was waiting in the parking lot after Kenasia's shift ended. She was going through a fast food bag in Kenasia's car and threw it away before Kenasia got there. This shows how far Mikayla's control had gone. She was now monitoring what Kenasia ate even at work. But the worst incident happened at a friend's birthday party on January 22nd, just 1 week before the murder. Multiple people witnessed Mikayla do something cruel and public. She announced Kenasia's weight to the entire room, asking people to guess the number first. Then she revealed what she had seen on their bathroom scale that morning. Kenasia left immediately. She texted a friend saying, "I can't do this anymore." This showed how Mikayla's behavior had escalated from private criticism to public humiliation. Each boundary she crossed without anyone stopping her made her bolder. The social media posts weren't just mean, they were weapons she used against Kenasia while getting others to support her behavior. What made this even sadder was that Kenasia had always been confident about her body. She had posted, "Fat and proud, I don't care," on Facebook before all this started. The public shaming she faced was destroying someone who used to love herself. January 29, 2025 started like any normal day for Kenasia. Security cameras caught her arriving at work at the healthcare facility where she had a job. Co-workers said she seemed quieter than usual but didn't appear to be in any immediate danger. What they didn't know was that Kenasia had made a big decision the night before. Phone records later showed she had called an apartment complex asking about immediate availability. She had also contacted her sister asking if she could stay for a while. After months of abuse, Kenasia was finally ready to leave. During her lunch break, Kenasia changed her Facebook relationship status from "in a relationship" to "single." This simple click would trigger the events that led to her death. Within minutes, Mikayla started calling Kenasia's phone. Over the next few hours, she called 27 times. Kenasia didn't answer any of these calls. Instead, she sent one text message, "We need to talk but not now. I'll come get my things tonight." Security footage from a gas station near Mikayla's apartment shows her buying a bottle of vodka that afternoon. This suggests she was preparing for what she knew would be a difficult confrontation. That evening, Kenasia's car pulled into the parking lot of Mikayla's apartment complex on Woodway Drive. A neighbor saw her enter the building carrying an empty duffel bag. She was clearly there to pack her belongings and leave. The same neighbor heard raised voices about 20 minutes later but didn't call police. This decision would haunt them later. What happened inside can only be pieced together from physical evidence and what Mikayla later told investigators. The apartment showed clear signs that Kenasia was packing, drawers left open, clothes piled on the bed, and toiletries gathered from the bathroom. The fight seems to have gotten worse in the bedroom. Investigators found a broken picture frame with a photo of the couple. Glass pieces on the floor showed it had been thrown against the wall. Kenasia's half-packed duffel bag was on the bed, surrounded by her clothes. Multiple neighbors reported hearing what sounded like firecrackers or loud bangs. None of them called 911. A tragic mistake that cost valuable time. Later, a different neighbor coming home from work noticed the apartment door was slightly open. They saw what looked like blood on the door frame and immediately called 911. Police arrived to find Kenasia's body in the living room. She had been shot 4 times, twice in the torso, once in the arm, and a final shot to the head. The position of her body showed she was trying to escape when the last shot was fired. A trail of blood from the bedroom to the living room proved that despite being wounded, Kenasia had tried to run. Mikayla was gone. The gun, a 9mm Glock registered in her name, was missing too. Police immediately put out an alert for both Mikayla and her car. But as news of the murder was breaking on local TV, Mikayla walked into the Jackson Police Department and turned herself in. According to the booking officer, her first words were, "She disrespected me. She thought she could just leave." The gun was found in her car in the police parking lot. The crime scene told investigators exactly what happened. They collected shell casings, the broken picture frame, and Kenasia's phone with all the text messages. Fingerprints and other evidence throughout the apartment matched both women. Security cameras from the apartment complex showed Kenasia arriving and later caught Mikayla leaving about 20 minutes after the gunshots. The footage showed Mikayla walking calmly to her car, carrying a small bag. She showed no signs of panic or distress. When Mikayla surrendered, Detective Brown described her as eerily calm. She wouldn't talk to investigators without a lawyer, but she did make several statements that officers wrote down. She said, "She was going to leave me for being honest about her weight, and I told her what would happen if she disrespected me." The gun recovered from her car matched the bullets from the crime scene. Tests showed she had recently fired a weapon. Her clothes had tiny blood drops consistent with being present during the shooting. Perhaps the most damning evidence came from Mikayla's phone and social media accounts. A search warrant revealed some disturbing searches she had made in the days before the murder. She had looked up how to make someone regret leaving you and self-defense laws in Mississippi. She had also taken screenshots of Kenasia's single status update and sent them to friends with messages like, "She's about to learn." Within 48 hours, the district attorney's office had enough evidence to charge Mikayla Davis with first-degree murder. This charge meant they believed the killing was planned, not a spontaneous act of rage. The evidence suggests Miss Davis had been contemplating violence for some time, the prosecutor said. The social media posts, the searches on her phone, and her statements all point to someone who had decided in advance how this would end. The investigation also showed that Kenasia had confided in her sister about Mikayla's behavior just days before her death. "She told me she was afraid of what Mikayla might do if she tried to leave," the sister told investigators. "But she didn't think it would go this far. None of us did." This highlights the tragic reality of many domestic homicides. The warning signs are often recognized too late, and the victim's fear of leaving becomes justified. Mikayla Davis has been charged with murder. Prosecutors have rejected plea deal offers, citing the premeditated nature of the crime. If convicted, she faces life imprisonment with or without parole. This case has set new legal precedent for how social media evidence can demonstrate both motive and intent in criminal proceedings. Prosecutors successfully argued that Mikayla's online history revealed a clear pattern of escalation that ended in murder. In Jackson, Kenasia's death has sparked community action. The newly established Kenasia Bowie Foundation focuses on educating young people about healthy relationships and digital abuse warning signs.